was just like, bam! There was a darkness, and now there's light. I don't care if you're Tony Robbins or like, we all have to start with the first client. If you see yourself as category of one as a coach, you don't need to worry about competition. Why? Because there's no one other like you. We don't get to decide our value in the marketplace as coaches. The market decides. Not such thing as one way to become successful as a coach. There isn't. In 2012 alone, I have organized and delivered 200 talks. You're nobody. You just started. Nobody's going to invite you to do shit. You create shit yourself. Invest that money in a fucking business coach, business mentor, business program of some sort instead. I came from Poland with nothing to London 20 years ago. I've never run a business before. I knew nothing about marketing, selling, branding. I'm not smarter than you. If I could do it, you can do it.
Hello, 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 my dear folks. We're yet another episode of C2C, Coach to Coach Central is the honest and raw conversation / confessions about coaching business. And I have another very special guest today, Michael Serwa. Michael, welcome to the show.
Lydia, thank you for having me. And I didn't hear anything about confessions before, so now you just like I was just
spice it in.
I was just prepared for conversation. Now confessions, like shit. What does she know? You know, like who did you speak to?
I know nothing.
What did my mother tell you? Fuck, you know.
Confessions will come in. Well, Michael, let's start with the basics. As always, tell us in 90 seconds who you are and what you do.
I am a coach for the elite, which is slightly more specific way of describing myself as a life coach. I'm a life coach working with elite clients, and by elite I mean not financial elites or royals or anything like that, although I work with some of those as well, sometimes some of those guys, some of those people. By elite I mean a particular type of mindset, right? So winners versus losers, wolves versus sheep, right? So I was broke for the first 30 years of my life. That didn't stop me from seeing myself as elite, right? Because for me, elite is an attitude more than upbringing, education level, or anything like that.
Interesting. A lot to unpack here. How did you end up in coaching?
Sure. So it definitely wasn't a coincidence, because I was very much into personal development as a field for 5 years prior to becoming a coach, right? So as I was working in retail, so I came to London from Poland at the age of 22, so 20 years ago. I spent the first 6 years working in fashion retail, but a year into being in London, so by the age of 23, I got into personal development. And then for the first 5 years, it didn't cross my mind that this is something I could do as a career, anything personal development related, right? I was just reading books, going to events and learning things for myself to better myself. And then I'll never forget, it was a morning. I was 28. I was watching some YouTube video on my laptop. It was Tony Robbins talking about something, whatever. And it wasn't about Tony Robbins per se. I've never been a huge fan of Tony Robbins. I've never been going to his events or anything like that, right? But obviously, everybody in our industry knows about Tony Robbins, and it was just one of the Tony Robbins videos, whatever, that I was watching. And Lydia, this is 14 years ago now, and I remember like it was yesterday. I felt like I was hit with a fucking ton of bricks. The realization that this is something I'm gonna spend the rest of my life doing was so strong. It wasn't a matter of like, he's a life coach, Tony Robbins. Maybe I should become a life coach too. It wasn't like that. It was just like, bam! There was a darkness, and now there's light, right? And long story short, I could barely sleep for the next 3 days. I was so excited. I shared this realization with 5 closest people in my life at the time. So my mother, my girlfriend at the time, and like 3 closest friends, right? And interesting enough, none of them knew what life coaching was. I didn't know what life coaching was. I decided to become a life coach before I Googled life coaching to understand what it really meant. So
Mm.
it was more of a like some, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but like it was like a God's intervention. It was like the universe pointing its finger at me saying, this is what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. No discussions, no questions asked, right? It was the word calling. Like
Yeah.
it's never been like, oh, I could do this or I could do that. No, it's a calling. It's a calling. It's been
Mm.
it's been a calling from day one, right? But interesting enough, I didn't know what it was, but then I Googled it. It's like, okay, that's the definition of that profession I'm getting myself into. Okay, got it. But interesting enough, when I shared the news with 5 closest people, like I said,
Yeah.
every single one of them had no clue what it meant, never heard the term before, right? Especially
Mm.
my mother, who was like 60 at the time in Poland, right? But even though none of those people knew what life coaching was, every
Mm.
single one of them said, I don't really know what it is, but it feels so right for you,
Mm.
right? Which was like a confirmation because I remember thinking, fuck, I'm gonna become a life coach. And then I thought about all of my strengths, my natural strengths. It's like people skills, people always coming to me for advice, um, people always trusting me, like historically, right? And I thought about my weaknesses, like numbers and technical stuff. And I remember thinking I could really leverage my natural strengths without worrying too much about my natural weaknesses
Yeah.
because nobody expects a life coach to fucking code
Yeah.
or to to fix the car or anything like that, right? Which are we useless. I can't
Yeah.
even drive a car, let alone fix it, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this I can see why this higher power, this infinite intelligence universe, whatever the fuck we call it, picked me out of all people, right?
Mm.
So the YouTube video was the trigger point, right? But the industry in itself certainly wasn't new to me. Like I was immersed in it while I was doing my
Mm.
retail job, which I was just doing to
Right.
make
Right.
money to
Right.
pay the bills, right? But it was so interesting for me that those 5 people said, I can totally see you doing that. And then I just started, just like any other coach, I started with the first client, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like I don't care if you're Tony Robbins or like we all have to start with the first client, right? It's just that what I did uh, uh, differently, I suppose, to most coaches is that I made my success non-negotiable.
Mm.
It wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna give it a go and see what happens, right? And it, it was easier to do that or approach it like that when you got hit with it like a ton of bricks, as I said before,
Yeah.
right? So like just to be fair to anyone listening who never experienced that magnitude of that
Mm.
that weight of that calling, right?
Yeah.
Um, I suppose it's like when people like I heard this story when I was a teenager. Like my older cousin, was friends with this priest, right, back in Poland, and my cousin told me how this priest friend told him how he was a normal guy. That friend of my cousin, he was a normal guy, just doing some stuff, whatever, 20 years old or something, whatever. And then he basically described to my cousin how one day he woke up and he saw Jesus Christ in his room, right?
Wow.
I don't know what he was smoking, but sounds to me like some like he had access to some good shit, right? He saw
Yes.
he said he literally saw Jesus in his room
Mm.
saying that you're gonna become a priest,
Okay.
right? So, full disclosure, I've never had Jesus Christ in my house. Nobody came to my house. Tony Robbins didn't come to my. Nobody came to my house. There was no actual voice, right? But when I experienced what I've described at the age of 28, it
Yeah.
reminded me of that story of that priest
Okay.
I heard from years ago, when just
Cool.
something just came and just said, this is what you're gonna do, or this is who you're gonna become, right? So
Yeah.
so that's how it started.
Okay. You know, a lot of coaches, my clients are coaches, new coaches, they come to me and they're like, we're so passionate about coaching. We want to become coaches. And they go into some programs, but they're lost. They're like, what type of coach do I become? And, these days, you need to be very specific, right? What type of coach you are. Let's go back at that point of realization you had. What helped you to decide?
I certainly haven't been referring to myself as a coach for the elite for the first few years of me coaching, right? Like you you gotta earn your right to. That's how I see it. It's a privilege for those people, those elite clients. And again, by elite, I don't mean financial elites or anything like that, or actual royalty, right? You have to earn your right as a coach to be even considered by those people, because those people have unlimited options. Those people either are in a financial position to work with just about any coach they want to work with, or like some of my clients, they're not rich, but they are resourceful to the point where even though they can't afford to work with me, technically or in theory, they still find a way to do it. Right. So
Okay.
that for me is like another characteristic of someone who has elite minds, is like, I don't have the money, but I want to work with this guy or with this coach, with this girl, and I'm gonna get the money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna get a fucking loan. I'm gonna sell some shit, kidney, whatever. I said, listen, if you want to sell kidney, I can put you in touch. I have some, like what, right? It's like,
Yeah.
but that's my
No,
mindset.
resourcefulness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
resourcefulness. Who
resourcefulness is
cares? Like, I
different
don't think,
from
no,
being resource. Having
of course,
resources is different from resourcefulness.
hundred
Yeah.
percent, 100%. So some people have, but usually people who have access to resources got there by being resourceful to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Apart from the ones who
Sure.
inherited money from other
No, of
people, right?
course.
So like, right? So, but coming back to the first thing I was saying is, like, I certainly haven't started as a coach for the elite. I've earned that right after years and years and hours and 100, 200 plus of quote unquote normal clients with some elite clients here and there, right?
Right.
So if you saw my website in 2011 and 2012, it would look like in terms of the copy, I mean, it looked like everybody else's website. There was nothing even remotely unique about my website for the first year and a half, right? So it took me a year and a half and some coaching that I received to create a brand around no bullshit coaching, right? So no bullshit is my style of coaching. Elite is the type of clients I work with using my coaching style, which is the no bullshit style. But like I said, it took me a year and a half of working 7 days a week from the first minute of the day to the last minute of the day to have the privilege,
Yeah.
and then paying for the coaching that I didn't have the money for yet, to have the privilege to connect the dots and going, I'm a no bullshit person. I should call myself a no bullshit coach. Like all I gotta do is just to be myself with my clients, and that's gonna be unique in itself, right? So on a practical level, because what does it mean to our listeners? I'm certainly not trying to say that you should become a no bullshit coach as well. You're gonna make a fool out of yourself unless you happen to have a similar personality to mine,
Yeah.
which I think one Michael Serwa is enough. Like, yeah, I don't think we need another me. Like, believe me, right? But unless you have absolutely no personality whatsoever, right? In which case you will never make it as a coach.
Mm.
So take my advice, and I say it respectfully and lovingly. If you have been quote unquote diagnosed by someone who lacks personality, right? you might be better off considering accountancy as a profession, fucking fashion, like anything other than coaching. Why? Because as you know very well, Lydia, coaching is not one of those professions where you can call yourself a coach or get some certification and apply for a job,
No.
right? Even personal trainers will always get a fucking job. Like they can start their own shop and the most successful work for themselves, right? With
Yeah.
private clients, right? But most of them work in gyms and they go to the gym, they
Yeah.
apply for a job and they get a job. We
Yeah.
can't get a job like that as life coaches, right? It is like
You can
where,
go and
how,
work
how,
inside,
how, how
in-house. In-house. You can
in house.
apply to huge company like, I don't know, corporation. They do have in-house coach. But honestly, there are only a few of those.
How many of them? So
No
like
many. No
I'll
many.
take a wild guess. Obviously, like I know what you're talking about. Yes, you're absolutely
No
right. So,
many.
so my statement, you can't. Yes, that's not a true statement. If we consider this exception, that you're absolutely right. But that would be, let's say, let's be generous here for the sake of this argument and say that there are 1,000 positions like that currently globally,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
we look
No
at that
many.
1,000 and we compare it against the amount of coaches,
Yeah.
maths is not my strength, but like, yeah, it's
200. The
percentage.
latest ICF report says there are over 200,000 coaches out there
Yeah, there you go.
certified.
But then, so then if
Way
they,
more. Way more.
yes, so if they say this many certified, there's gonna be at least another half of that uncertified, like
Yes.
myself. So let's say
Yeah.
300,000. So
Yeah.
whatever the percentage is,
Yeah.
and
It's
this is
very
us being
small.
generous,
Very small.
right? So it's so small. But even
Absolutely.
though I was aware of it, it was so small I haven't even mentioned it because I was like, this.
True.
It's not like I'm a coach. Let me see what jobs are available out
No.
there, right? And why is this problematic if you don't have a person? Because when you don't have a personality of any, if you just
Mm.
and there's no judgment, right? Like it's not
No.
like I don't need my accountant to have a fucking personality. I just need him to be good with numbers, and he is, right? And I would say that to his face. He might be listening. I doubt it, but like,
Maybe
no,
he
he doesn't have.
is.
He doesn't have. I love the guy. We worked together for over a decade, but he doesn't have the most colorful personality out there, and he fucking knows it. I mean, show me an accountant with a colorful personality, right? Like I
you
know they
have to be
exist.
you have to be careful because my first professional is accountant. I
Well,
worked
yes.
50,
Listen, but it's okay. So
15 years. I worked in accountancy, but
okay,
I had to
okay.
move on. I had to move
There you
on.
go. Why? And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because you found yourself being too colorful, too much of a
Accountant.
parrot, surrounded by the fucking pigeons, right? And there's no
Yeah.
disrespect to pigeons, right? The French people love pigeons to eat them, right? Like I've tried it, not my thing, right? But like obviously, like I'm exaggerating slightly, but like as a general rule, from what I've seen, and I've seen a lot, every single successful coach I've ever seen, came across, or heard about had some sort of personality, had some, and what I mean by that, had some fucking flavor to it, right? And on the subject of niching, I talk about how we are all category of one. We want to see ourselves as coaches as category of one. If you see yourself as category of one as a coach, you don't need to worry about competition. Why? Because there's no one other like you.
True.
Yeah, unless you are fucking pigeon and you are just like all the
That
other
is true.
pigeons, right?
Yeah, that
So
is
so like
true.
I'm just keeping it real,
That
right?
is
I'm not gonna,
true. That's true.
hey, you kind of like it, um you kind of boring and you know it, and you've been trying this coaching thing for 3 years and it's not working out. I have
Yeah.
some bad news for you. It's probably never gonna work out for you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
hard enough for people like you and I, right? And for the coaches I work with, who all of them have a big, you know, not
Yeah.
always big personality, but like personality. Like they have a whole bunch of unique um, features or characteristics or traits, right?
Yeah.
Around which I can help them to build a personal brand, which is what I do when I work with coaches one to one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I've learned the hard way many years ago that even I, and by even I mean even the most successful personal coach in the UK, cannot help a coach who
Mm.
fundamentally lacks personality,
Mm.
because I am not able to help that coach to build a personal brand around the personality that is not there. And
Right.
therefore, that coach is doomed to fail, even if I
Mm.
personally mentor them. I know that because I've tried it with some lovely people, some really fucking nice people.
Mm.
I've tried everything. But whatever I was
Right.
doing with them, that was working with the more colorful characters, if you will, just wasn't
Right.
working. The
Mm.
market wasn't responding. And you can think however you want to think of yourself, however, how amazing you are. And you can believe everything that your mother told you, how fucking special you are. But at the end of the day, we don't get to decide, right? We don't get to decide our value in the marketplace as coaches. The market decides. The market decides. And the market decides by telling you yes or no, right? And obviously there's a whole bunch of things that we can do and should do in order to help the market to make the right decision being to work with us. But there's a limit as to how much we can do, because at the end of the day, there's lots of options out there, right? Like we were just talking about how many
Yeah.
coaches there are, but like the worst thing you can do as a coach is to
Mm.
follow the generic advice
Yeah.
that is being fed to you by ICF. That's the worst thing you can do. ICF creates or has created an army of pigeons, right? I don't have any
Yeah.
personal beef with ICF, right? Just full disclosure, right? Like I have no association with them. I don't have a personal beef with them or anything like that.
Sure.
But I know what they do. I know how they do it. And I know how the coaches who went through the ICF, how to put it, ICF process, if you will, how they
Yeah.
end up looking. They don't look bad. I'm not saying they
Yeah.
look bad, but they look the same.
Yeah.
And
That's.
therefore, they
Mm.
fucking end up competing with each other, right? And then the
Yeah.
market is like, okay, I need a life coach, right? And sometimes coaches, and that's a mistake that's not hard to make. It's like, oh, I'm not doing too well. Why do you think you're not doing too well as a coach? Well, people don't have money for coaching, or people. Well, that's not
Yeah.
my experience.
Yeah.
That's not my experience. I'm not saying I make so much money I don't know what to do with it, but like I'm almost there, right? Like that's not true. That's your reality. That's not my reality. So
Mm.
you just not quote unquote attractive enough to the marketplace, and that's not because you are not a good coach. I do appreciate that there might be coaches out there here in the UK who are technically, if you will, better than me. But if they're invisible, if nobody knows they exist, if they don't
Yeah.
know anything about marketing, selling, branding, I'm gonna take the clients,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna take the clients, right? And so unfortunate, because I'm very competitive. I would love for there to be like Olympics for coaches, or like competitions, and I could be like, okay, gold medalist. Unfortunately, there's not like, all I can say is I'm the highest paid. I charge the most because I can. It's factual. It's
Yeah.
measurable. Like the money is measurable, but like, can I say I'm the best coach in the country? In my head, I am. Can I say that I'm objectively the best coach, personal coach in the country? As a fact, I can't, because there's no way to verify it, right? And I also recognize that it's a matter of personal taste as well. It's like with music, who's the
Sure.
best artist on the planet? Well, it depends what kind of music you like. Well,
Yes.
I love pop. Okay, who's the best pop artist in the world?
Taylor
Well,
Swift.
no, it depends who you like. But we know which one sells the most records or make the most money,
Yeah, we
and that's
do.
the girl
We
that you
do.
just mentioned. That's unquestionable,
She's
right?
doing great. She's doing
Yeah, I
great.
mean, last time I've checked, I even asked. I don't know why I asked. I certainly wasn't expecting that GPT is gonna say it's Michael Serwa, but like I remember, I remember, So it's unfortunately, but I asked ChatGPT for some reason the other day,
Yeah.
uh, who is the most famous person on the planet today? And
Hmm.
the answer was Taylor Swift. I was like, okay,
No, really?
yes, yes. That's what ChatGPT said.
Oh, wow.
When I say the other day, it wasn't like the other day, the other day. It was like a few
Okay.
months last year at some point.
Okay.
And I was like, who's the second most famous person? It was like Leo Messi. And the third one, I think, was Ronaldo. So I was like, okay,
Okay.
so
Oh, wow.
it was interesting that there's fucking few football players in the top three and not
I
a
thought it would
single life
be
coach. Not a single. I said to myself, Michael, you have more work to do, son. Like
exactly.
get out of your
Well,
ass, stop talking to ChatGPT about Taylor Swift, and get to fucking work because
yeah.
we gotta change that order.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Bringing it back, that's exciting conversation. But bringing it back to coaching, I've read a post yesterday or recent days that says that SEO, like a lot of coaches are taught to create a website, put a blog post, to work on SEO to be ranked in the Google search and to be found.
Yeah.
And the article, the blog post I read, um, said actually people stop looking. People stop using Google search, and very soon it's going to be gone. And they will be asking ChatGPT for those questions, like who I want to coach. Uh, where can I find who is the best coach for me? So very soon SEO is going to become obsolete. So we just have to keep that in mind. Like the fun search that you did, who is the most popular person on earth, it is actually an indication of what's going on. So very soon, people are going to be asking ChatGPT and obviously AI, like, I need a coach on this. Tell me who should I contact.
So a few things on that. Okay, so first of all, yes, more and more people use ChatGPT to find coaches. It's May 20th of May 2025, right? So we haven't even completed the first 5 months of the year. And already two of my clients this year found me through ChatGPT, right? However, ChatGPT is getting its information from somewhere, and that somewhere is internet, right? So,
Right,
so,
right.
so,
Hmm.
if when you Google my name or when you Google anything related to life coaching, especially here in London area, in the UK, and even like internationally, whatever, if you didn't see what you see now on the back of
Hmm.
Google search, what you see is what ChatGPT sees,
Yeah.
right? So if you rank on the first page of Google search for
Hmm.
life coaching in London, let's say,
Right.
versus 17th page,
Okay.
and someone is asking ChatGPT for recommendations for coaches, for life coaches in London or in the UK,
Right.
will you be included in the list if you are on the 17th page of a Google search? Probably not. Now,
Maybe not.
so now I'm not saying, and I think about, and I have my team as well. Like we think about this shit a lot. Like we take everything to the lab and we
Yeah.
dissect it. I've been running this coaching practice for the last 13 and a half years, like a fucking science project. Right? This is not like, oh, I want to be a coach, and then I'm just gonna start small at 20 pounds per session, which is what I did, and then one day I woke up and I'm rich, right? Because I done so
Yeah.
well. Like it's been 13 and a half years of obsessive
Hmm.
approach, attention to the smallest fucking detail, to every fucking comma of my on my website, let alone words or sentences or paragraphs.
Okay.
Every single fucking comma on my website has been carefully considered, right? Whether
Right.
whether the placing of that comma is right or not, whether I should have that comma there in the first place, right? Just to give an idea of the
Yeah.
level of detail we are talking about here, right? If I spend this much time thinking about commas, now imagine how much time I think about more important things than
Sure.
commas, right? So,
Sure. Sure.
so
Sure.
it would be very foolish for anyone to think like, yeah, okay, this guy's done well because look at his confidence level, look at this. Like, excuse me, it definitely helps to be confident. It might help a little bit to be extroverted. Obviously, I'm very extroverted, but I know highly successful coaches who are introverted. So it's not like, oh, he's an extrovert and therefore, because he's a guy. No, none of this matters at the end of the day, right? I have
Right.
I have a mentee called Wouter who I help him become my equivalent basically in the Netherlands, so the highest paid
Mm.
life coach in the Netherlands. And he has a completely different personality to mine. You can check him out. He was kind
Yeah.
enough to leave a testimonial on my website. He has a completely different personality to mine. He's introverted. He's on the spectrum a
Okay.
little bit, right? He has an incredible ability to focus. That's why he keeps writing books.
Mm.
Fucking writes as many books as I write fucking LinkedIn posts, right? I, whereas writing a book, I wrote one book, small book. It was like the most painful part of my coaching journey, writing that fucking
Mm.
book. This guy can sit for hours and hours and just write and super introverted, super quiet, not super quiet, but super calm. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I'm not calm.
Right.
He's like ocean, and he still kicked fucking ass. He
Wow.
is still the highest paid
How did
coach in
he
the
do the
country.
marketing part where you have to go out and promote yourself?
Okay, so it's this it's not this it's not like, oh, that's why. And we talked about it a little bit before we started recording,
Yeah.
obviously, like how you have those coaches there saying things like, this is the method. If you
Yes.
follow my method that only I know,
Yes.
you can become successful. Like, this is the only way to become successful as a coach.
Yeah.
There is not such thing as one way to become successful as a coach. There isn't, right? There isn't. Whoever says that there is lying to you. Don't be fucking stupid and fall for those. Use your fucking brain and think about it. This person is telling you that this is the only way. By now you should have done the fucking market research and see who's out there doing what. And if you can identify at least one coach who is successful, who hasn't followed that method that this coach over here, this business coach over here claims is the only way, that's the fucking proof right there that obviously there isn't such thing as a single method,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So there isn't one like, how did you do it? What did you do? I've done everything. I've done everything. I've tried everything. I've tried just about everything marketing strategy there is that a coach could try. That there isn't an infinite ways in which a coach can get clients, as you know. It's not like there is fucking 200 ways, 300 ways, 1,000, 2,000 ways. There's maybe 15, maybe 20 ways in which
Sure.
we can get clients,
Yeah.
right? And one way is not better than the other. I can talk about. There's no secret. I can talk about the ways in which clients find me.
Yeah.
Right? It's not one way. There's multiple ways.
Yeah.
But what I find is that what I've seen is that with successful coaches, and let me tell you what I mean by successful coaches, just so we are all on the same page.
Yeah.
By successful coach, I mean a coach who makes six-figure income from coaching,
Yeah.
right? So to me, I'm not saying that the one making 50K is unsuccessful, because
Yeah.
fucking, most coaches never make 50K a year.
Yeah.
So
We
like, so,
discussed that as
so,
well, unfortunately.
if you are listening to this and you make 30K, 40K, 50K, well, fucking done to you, because most coaches
Yeah.
never, ever, ever make that kind of money from
Yeah.
coaching, right? And I'm telling you right now, if you found a way, if you figured out a way to make 30, 40, 50K per year from coaching,
Yeah.
I promise you, you have it in you to make 100K and 200K. You
Yeah.
just need fucking, a lot of time or less time with the right mentor, like
Yeah.
myself, for example, right? If we like each other enough,
Yes.
because what's the hardest is to go from 0 to, like, let's say 50.
Yeah.
That's the hardest, and most coaches never ever get to that point,
Yeah.
right? But
Yes.
how we get to that point, it doesn't really matter. Some people like to run events. Some people like to run events, and then when you run enough events, you get invited to speak at events. You can get clients like that. I got a whole bunch of clients like that back in the day when I used to run my own events. So just to give you an idea of this, of the scale, or of the scale of the grind, or the scale of the hustle when I went through my
Mm-hmm.
hustle phase, right? So your first phase, whether you are a coach or run any other business, should always be the fucking hustle phase. I don't care if you are 20, 30, 40, or 50. You want to start by hustling. So then after a while, you move from the hustle phase to more of a, like, a normal person type, normal life phase, right?
Yeah.
So the first 2.5 years for me was the hustle on steroids phase. The few years that followed was just the hustle phase. And
Okay.
now I'm like, I'm not gonna say I'm chilling, because I'm still working all the fucking time. But in terms of volume, in terms of how many clients I work with at
Mm.
any given time, in terms of the amount of initial consultations I have these days relative to how many I've had in the past, you
Right.
know, I in terms of client facing work,
Mm.
I don't work more than 20 hours per week, right? But that, it was, it was double that for the first few years, right?
Right. Right.
And I've tried many things. Coming back to what I was saying, so in 2012 alone, I have organized and delivered 200 talks. Yeah,
How did you
and they're all,
find? I'm gonna
eh,
get very specific. So, how did you find those talks?
it is a lot, and the only reason why I didn't do 365 talks that year, because I've tried, but I've learned that nobody wanted to come on a Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday night to
Right.
hear me talking about overcoming procrastination, or
Okay. You
how
should have
how
done stand-up comedy then.
how to, exactly, how to be good at dating and things like that. Right? So I've tried, so I've used a platform called Meetup.com. So it certainly wasn't a case of me being invited. I just fucking started coaching like yesterday. Who's gonna invite me to speak? So like, nobody's gonna, like, you are nobody. You just started. Nobody's gonna invite you to do shit. You create shit yourself, right? So
Okay.
I used Meetup to create my own meetup. So the 200 events I'm talking about, I've organized them myself. Um, I didn't pay for any room hire or anything like that. I used basically, imagine a park, so public space with a roof, right? So I used, for people who know London, there is this venue called Royal Festival Hall. It's a concert hall basically, but it's owned by council, and there's lots of, like, space where people can go and draw and fucking just hang out, and it's open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. if I remember correctly, right? So that was like my second home, right? So I was running events from there. I was also running consultations, initial consultations, and coaching people from there, right? Because I didn't live in central London at the time. And even though some of my clients would come to see me at my place, but because my place was in a fucking ghetto, in southeast London. Very few people wanted to come and see me there. So I had my central London location, so I could be more accessible, right? And so every day, 7 days a week for the first 2.5 years, I would wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, fuck off to that Royal Festival Hall, spend the whole day there, initial
Wow.
consultations, client meetings, and then the evenings where people were interested in listening to me talking about this shit, I would do those events, approximately
Nice.
three, four events per week, and times 52 weeks, or however many weeks there is in a year. That's
Yeah.
that's your 200, right? So
Wow.
so I got some clients on the back of those talks. I
Sure.
also, after a while, started charging for those talks.
Sure.
So even though I wasn't paying for the venue, I was charging for the talks,
Nice. Yeah.
right? So on a good night, I could make £100, 200, sometimes £300 for
Nice.
for a talk, which at the time for me was a lot of money. Mind you,
No,
that
of
the year
course.
prior, I was a retail manager on I can't remember, I think it was 34K a year or 35K a year, right? And
Yeah.
here I am coaching the shit out of people, uh, giving those talks, loving every fucking minute of it, and
Yeah.
making the same amount of money, not more to begin with, the same amount of money I was making as a slave in retail. I was the happiest fucking kid on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, because to this day, so this is like, 13 and a half years later, almost 14 years later,
Yeah.
uh, I would still do it for free gladly if I didn't find anyone who'd want to pay for it.
Sure.
But back then, it was the same fucking love plus more,
Yeah.
because also on top of this passion I have for it,
Mm.
it was also a novelty thing added to it.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, I can't believe someone chose to pay me £20 per session. Oh my fucking God, I can't believe people pay for this. And all I'm doing is I'm just having conversations with them, because that's what coaching is,
Yeah, it is.
right?
It
It's
is.
like, it's not some fucking, you guys know that it's not like some sophisticated scientific process. It's about connecting with another human being. It's about hearing what they're saying, actively listening, right? Creating that fucking space. And then I know that's not what ICF teaches you, right? But what do they know? No, 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 no. The part I'm about to add, that's not what ICF is, right? I definitely don't stop at that. I tell people what to do on a regular basis. I share my opinions with clients on a regular basis. I advise clients on a regular basis, right? I break most of ICF rules on a daily basis, right? Guys, but on the subject of ICF, I know you didn't ask me this question, but since I mentioned ICF, guys, if you already have ICF certificate, okay, put it in the fucking drawer. No problem. It's done. It's done. You've paid some money. It didn't hurt you. It didn't break the bank, right? But guys, if you are thinking about shall I do it or not, if you haven't done it yet, if you're thinking shall I do it or not, or God forbid, you are thinking about spending more money on more certifications, ICF or any others, I know those are the main ones. Stop. Stop fucking immediately. Here is why. Here is why, right? And I know that some of your listeners will get fucking triggered by it, right? Some of them already got triggered because I swear so much, right? But that's like that. That's if you want to get fucking triggered, fucking just go for it. Just go for it. Fucking get triggered all day, every day, right? Like all I can speak is my fucking truth. But here is the thing: I've had to this point since 2011, 2,000 plus initial consultations, right? 2,000 plus, right? There's never been any mention of me having certificate or not having a certificate on my website at any point, right? There's never been, I've never been sharing one or the other. Like, I've never done it, so I wouldn't lie that I've done it, but I also never said that I haven't done it, right? There's never been any mention of any kind, right? Guys, out of 2,000 plus initial consultations I had to date, I can count on the fingers of one hand how many people ask me if I have a coaching qualification. What does it tell us? People, the market, the people, the only people who matter here in terms of paying your fucking invoices, they don't give a fuck about your certificates. Only ICF cares about you having a certificate, because that's how and all the coaching schools, right? There's no harm in it. They're not gonna hurt you by teaching you the stuff they teach you, right? But what I'm saying is, don't let anyone believe you that you need it, because I'm telling you, as by far the highest paid life coach in the fucking country, in the UK, that you don't need it. People don't care. The average person doesn't even understand the coaching industry. They don't even know that there is such thing as a coaching certification. They never ask that question. They don't care. The only exception is, so I have to add that just to be
Yeah.
just to be fair to ICF and to certification as a whole, right? As an idea. The only exception is if you want to do any work within corporates.
Absolutely.
right?
That's
Because
true.
corporates, the
They
first thing they're
can.
going to ask you is, do you have accreditation of some sort? They
That's
don't
true.
really care whether you did a fucking 12-week course online, whether you did 12 months master. They don't fucking know the difference. They don't care. HR people just have to tick that box. If something
Yeah.
goes wrong, they can
That's
say,
true.
well, that coach has been vetted, that has certification, right? So I
No,
know,
that's true. That's true.
so I know, without my, as I said, I have no certification. I know that I wouldn't have a great career if I wanted to do any corporate work, but I never wanted to do any fucking corporate work, right? But when it comes to one-to-one coaching, which is something, which is the only thing I do, right? I'm telling you, it's not like I think, I
Yeah.
know, because if I have this many consultations under my belt and this few people asked about it, what does it tell us, right? People just don't care. So
That is
if you
true.
have it, wonderful. If you think about doing another one, stop. Invest that money in fact, to your point, previous point, invest that money in marketing instead.
Yeah.
Invest that money in a fucking business coach, business mentor, business program of some sort instead.
Yeah.
That's where you want to invest your time, energy, and money, not in doing fucking certifications that nobody
Yeah.
cares about. No, nobody other than you, your
Yeah.
friends on LinkedIn, because I see coaches like, hey, I just got a certificate from so and so. And all
Yeah.
the friends are like, congratulations, congratulations. And then those coaches are waiting for clients, for prospective clients to set inquiries, and all they fucking hear is like crickets. It's like nothing, right? Yay, congratulations. Yeah, nobody gives a fuck.
No, I agree. I agree, Michael. I think, um, and I think it's very easy if you come in from a corporate world, like I came from corporate world, so it's easy to fall into this trap of, well, I do need some sort of a validation. So
Yeah,
people need some sort of validation.
yeah,
And I was on that path, but I quickly jumped off that path.
yeah,
But I see my clients falling into this trap of
yeah,
going after one certification after another, after another, after another. Well, for many reasons. One, because they kind of used to the corporate ladder is defined. So certification gives them that sense of accomplishment, right? As if they achieving something, which is not true. We know this, right? Because the real accomplishment is your client's successes. I
is the money
believe
in the
that
bank. Is the money in the bank. So if it's a
money in the bank, and
money in the bank, money in the
I
bank.
mean, if your
No, no,
client is
no, no.
successful,
Of course, but that's to talk about results for our clients. That's a given. That's like
sure.
I'm not gonna be praising a nurse for changing my fucking bandage in a hospital. That's her fucking job, right? But like I'm like, okay, are you happy with your finances? Like, of course you are a nurse. You are doing this job and you're doing your job. We need you. We need you fucking more than we need life coaches. That's for sure. If you are a nurse, right? But that's a given. It's like, of course, this is about helping people,
Right, right.
right?
But
And when I had this realization in 2011, it was like, I want to become a life coach so I can become rich and move to a penthouse in Mayfair and have a fucking 30K watches. Like, I wasn't even thinking about shit like that. Of course, it's about helping people.
yeah,
Of course, it's about the fucking transformation. But if you don't make enough money doing it, you won't
no,
be able to help anybody,
no,
right?
no,
And just coming
absolutely.
back to one more thing, because like this just to be fucking clear, there's no judgment. I don't think for a second that someone, especially like the point that you've made, someone coming from the corporate, is like, oh, I needed a fucking degree to be an accountant. I needed to then. It's just like it makes logical sense. I get
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
There's no judgment. Like
Yes.
you guys are fucking smart. It's like there's not like, oh, like I'm so fucking smart and you're so fucking stupid. No, there's no judgment. I understand where you are coming from, but you have two options right now. Either believe the very people who make money by you making those certifications, or the person who doesn't even fucking know you, who wants nothing from you, who has built a success in the very field you want to become successful in, telling you what's the fucking reality of the industry. That's the reality. I'm not talking about some theories, some loose theories that I'm playing with in my head. This is the reality, right? So if you have it, great. Just don't spend any more money because it will make absolutely no difference. And I understand the mechanic as well behind it, or mechanics behind it. It's like, I did certification. I don't have enough clients. I know what I need to do. I need to become a better coach, and therefore I need to do another certification. And it's like a fucking trap. You don't need any more books. You don't need any more certifications. You need to focus to one of the points you've made before. You need to put more energy on the business side of things than on the coaching itself. Coaching is the easy part.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Coaching is
That
the easy part.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one of the reasons people follow is because it's kind of natural. They're used to this kind of going through the corporate ladder. But the other part why people leaning into getting more certification is because the other part is hard. Like you said, the
Of course.
marketing yourself, the promoting
Of
yourself,
course.
putting
Of
yourself
course.
out there, the content is different skills, it's
Yeah.
different, it's a lot of insecurities, and
Yeah.
it's just a lot of personal growth and transformation.
Yeah.
So it's hard and people avoiding it. But I think, you can get all certifications you want, but you need clients to be a coach, and to bring what you want to bring to the world. You need clients.
Yes.
That's very simple.
And ultimately, how does one become a great coach? By working, there's no other way, by working with a lot of
Yeah,
people, by
correct.
having a lot of clients. How does one get to the point of having a lot of clients? Is by becoming a great business person.
Yeah.
I know I'm a great coach. I also know that I'm as
Right,
good of a businessman as I am a coach. Now, I knew nothing about business, just like I knew nothing about coaching
right, right, right.
13 and a half years ago. High school dropout, age 17, did all sorts of shitty jobs for 5 years in Poland before I came to London, 6 years in retail. I've never run a business before. Like, I've learned those things, but one of the things that I was fortunate to realize early on is the business side of things I need to focus on,
Yeah,
because that's the only way to get clients. And my goal being becoming the best coach in the world, I knew that the only way to do that over time, I'm not there yet, but to do that over time is by having a lot of clients. So I need to
yeah,
learn how to get clients. So
yeah,
I fucking did.
yeah,
So I fucking did. And that put me in a position that now I've worked with over 500 people. And guess what? When you work with 500 people,
yeah.
even if you are not the smartest person on the planet, which I'm not, guess what? You'll become very fucking good at this
Yeah.
craft. And there's no amount of trainings and books and certifications can replace the real life experience of of working with another human being and facilitating this process of transformation for them.
I'm doing this podcast exactly for that reason, so that coaches realize, especially in the beginning of their career, they realize that as much as they need to learn the craft of coaching, they need to start learning that craft of business of
Yeah.
being a coach and building that business.
Lydia, I've worked one to one, so I only do one to one coaching, right? I don't do any group programs, or don't run any events anymore for years, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying what I do, what's my favorite thing, and that favorite thing, which is one to one. I love the intimacy of the one to one coaching. That one to one thing makes enough money for me and my family in Poland, like my parents and sister, right? It's like I don't need money. Like, I welcome more money. If somebody wants to like send me money, like, please do. I send you my bank details. But I'm good. I'm comfortable, right? So I don't need to do anything else, and uh, because I'm doing well enough, doing what I love the most, which is one-to-one coaching. But I, with all my passion and all my understanding basic at that time, but understanding nevertheless of personal development when I started coaching. I think I was pretty good when I first started. Shit, completely shit comparing to where I am now, but pretty good to begin with. It's very clear to me based on the 50 plus coaches I've worked with one to one, I've mentored over the years. Um, I remember on a few occasions thinking, based on what they were telling me about the first clients, the experiences they've had with the first clients, I remember thinking I would say to them sometimes like how talented they are, how much better they are to begin with than I was when I first started. It was like so apparent to me that those guys, um, those people, male, female, whatever, that they would have more raw coaching talent than I had,
Right.
right? So it's very clear to me that my success is not based on my incredible raw coaching talent, because yes, I had some talent to begin with, but like I said, I've seen many coaches with even more talent than me, right? But they just weren't quite, some of them were, but even the coaches I've mentored, some of them didn't make it because they weren't quite persistent enough. They weren't putting enough emphasis on the marketing side of things, right? And and in order to become a great coach, it's not enough to have 100 hours under your belt. It's not enough
Yeah.
to have 1,000 hours under your belt. No amount of qualification, certification, diploma courses can give you enough hours to become a great coach. To become great, maybe you heard this, like how to become a master of a craft of some sort, to become really, really good at something, we need to spend a minimum, a minimum
Yeah.
of 10,000 hours,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
So how do we get to the point of spending 10,000 hours as a coach? Only by becoming good at the business side of things, right?
Right.
So
Right.
guys, respectfully and lovingly, do not spend another penny on coaching qualifications
Yeah.
unless you are clear that what you want to do is to work with corporates. That's a different story, as we
Right.
said
Right.
before.
Right.
But if you are not interested in that, or you don't care about that, if you want the majority of your income, or at least the majority of your income, to come from other avenues, do not spend another penny on coaching qualifications, because it just doesn't matter.
Right.
Spend the same, take that money and get the best mentor your money can afford.
Yeah.
Use the knowledge of that mentor to get yourself to the level to get even more experienced mentor, and build your way up to the point where you can work with a mentor of your choice, right? One to one. And then that mentor will take you from that
Right.
50K level, which is the hardest one to get to, as I said before.
Yeah. Yeah.
100. When coach comes to me for mentoring and they're already making 50K per year, I can pretty much guarantee them that I will be able to help them get from 50 to 100.
Yeah.
If they come to me making 100, I can pretty much guarantee them that within 12 months they will move from 100 to 200,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And,
Right.
and how do I
Because the
know
first,
that? Because I've done it. Because I've,
because
I've been,
the first step is the most difficult one. Zero to
yeah,
one. Zero
but
to one is the most difficult one.
exactly. But guys, but at the same time, like I do recognize, and I feel for you. I feel for anyone struggling. I feel for anyone having a hard time getting your first clients and making money as a coach. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, right? It doesn't mean that you are lacking something fundamentally. It's hard because it is hard. You experience it to be hard because it is hard. It was hard for me. It's just my obsessive nature, my fucking, I don't know, Polish work ethic, my my sacrificing on everything else in my life for 2.5 years. So dating, drinking, partying, holidays. Like, it was a fucking monk mode and extreme hassle mode for the first 2.5 years, right? So it's not like I went to sleep one day and I woke up the next day and I'm a six-figure coach, right? There's a
Right.
lot that went into it, including the money I spent on my mentors,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
to this day, I keep investing in myself, in my business. I keep surrounding myself with people who can add value. even I'm not arrogant enough to think that, oh, like I'm the shit. Like nobody's like I know everything. There's no opportunity for growth for me anymore. I will never get to that point. I will
Right.
always be learning, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a fucking high school dropout. Like I said, I
Yeah.
came from Poland with nothing to London 20 years ago. I've never run a business before. I knew nothing about marketing, selling, branding. I've learned all of those things. Yes, I know I'm not stupid, but I'm not smarter than you. If I could do it, you can do it.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a good one. Well, thank you so much. It's been great. Hopefully, it's been very, very raw and honest conversation as I envisaged those to be. Thank you so much. So, how folks can find you online?
michaelserwa.com. Like I said, I've been mentoring coaches one to one for years, ever since I've made it. Ever since I've made it, and by made it, I made when I got to six-figure level. I thought, okay, now I'm ready to like pass my knowledge to other coaches. So for the last 11 years, I've been working with other coaches. There is a separate page on my website called For Coaches. You can't miss it, and you can find the info there. So if you think you can handle me, and if you think that I wouldn't find you terribly boring, right? You might want to reach out. We can have a conversation. It's free. It's no obligation, and we can discuss what we could potentially do together, as in how I could assist you on your coaching journey, regardless what stage of your journey you're at the moment.
Perfect. Amazing. Okay. Well, the link is going to be down below. Michael, again, thank you so much. And I hope to speak again.
Thank you for having me, Lydia.